We will get to the hockey in a second, Stugotz, but I am legitimately torn by what it is that's going on with the Celtics because it's allowed to be unsatisfying, right? To watch it outside of Boston, anybody watching what is happening with the Celtics, steamrolling everybody. At any other point in history, we would be looking at a basketball team and saying, good God, one of the all-time greats, being able to lose only twice and steamrolling everybody in games that are not close.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, the way this has gone, I don't think anyone's changed their minds about what Mazzulla is as a coach. I don't think anyone is terribly impressed with what Jason Tatum has put together.
I mean, they're 2 games away from winning a title.
I know.
I mean...
And history only remembers the championship was won. But, Stugotz, I will say the way that things become memorable, whether it's storylines or close games, is you have a series of moments that you remember. You have you have greatness tested. You've proved to us, Jason Tatum, that the stat line that you have isn't going to pale compared to Drew Holiday's stat line. Drew Holiday is 38 points, 19 rebounds, 8 assists, no turnovers. That's Drew Holiday.
Crazy.
They got Drew Holiday to help Jason Tatum, not to win it for him. They got rid of Marcus Smart and put people in place to help lift Jason Tatum, and now you're in a situation where what you're watching from Jason Tatum is just unsatisfying.
In fairness to Jason Tatum, he is doing a lot of the things that we have asked him to do. Now, it's not up to him whether or not he gets those situations late in the game, but he is going to the rim an awful lot, and he is creating opportunities for his teammates. He had the assists last night. He had the rebounds. He had, by anyone's measure, that would be considered, Dan, okay, a really good, very good playoff game. He's having a good series. Fortunately for Jason Tatum, he's on a team where he doesn't have to be the best guy every single night.
Oh, but Stugotz, the way that this is going to end up playing out, which I think is going to disorient people, is this team is built for what the modern sport has become. Defend the three. Dallas shoots 20% from three. Kyrie Irving hasn't made a three in the series. You defend the three well, and you shoot the three well, but not in this game, because to have both teams shoot 25% or under, Stugotz, You're watching bad basketball. You're watching a lot of missed shots. Nobody wants to celebrate defensive basketball, but what these Celtics are the evolution of the sport. Nobody wants to talk about architecture this time of year, Stugotz. They want to talk about story and drama and were you better than the other guy in big moments.
But with this team, it's a part of it. The way the team was built is certainly a part of the story.
It's not a part of it. It's the story.
Okay, so it's part of the story. It's a big part of the story.
I know, but
Brad Stevens deserves credit for the way he built this team.
Agreed, Stugotz, but it's not why anybody watches.
Right.
That's not agreed. Brad Stevens, congratulations.
Yep.
You want to make an executive the reason that you're watching the finals?
We did talk about that last week, that it'd be funny if he became the first ever executive to win MVP of the series.
Didn't Bob Myers steal that last night?
Yeah, Bob Myers stole Stugotz's take.
Yeah.
To make him finals MVP because they're putting the Celtics in a position where the pieces that they got. That show, incidentally, is getting crushed. The halftime show and the postgame show for ESPN just getting annihilated because all people are realizing now, oh, wait, it just exists for 7 seconds at a time between commercials. There's no show there. It's getting crushed.
Couldn't believe my eyes and ears when I saw an NBA Finals postgame anchored by Bob Myers, Michael Wilbon, and Josh Hart. Now, all respectively in their own industries, nice careers. If we're going to have an active player there, I would love one with finals experience. I would love anybody really with finals experience. I know Bob Myers was an executive there, but he's out there an executive caping up for executives. And you have Mike Wilbon essentially being your quarterback. We've done this for 25 years where there's a revolving door with Mike Wilbon, and he's just flatly telling you, I don't believe in stats. It's just not – I don't know how anyone over at the NBA is happy with this.
They're probably not, though, right? We're going to probably see what we see every year. They'll shake it up, get a new crew, and see if they can find
But they'll shake it up, and Michael Wilbon will always end up being there.
Right.
Like they've been unhappy reportedly with ESPN's NBA coverage for the majority of the time ESPN has had the contract, and yet We still see some of the same players, and if it's not one executive, it's another. It's just they keep expecting different results.
Mike is right. The one constant throughout time is Michael Wilbon.
The situation that you find yourself in when Stephen A. Smith is working as much as he is that he's got to get out of there, I assume, to either drive or take a private flight to First Take in the morning.
Right, which is weird because First Take's a priority, and that shows you everything. No, I would think it's on Network ABC. The priority here is the NBA Finals postgame show. No?
Well, let's rewind for a second because I thought of Billy Saturday night.
Is it the post-game show, SVP on SportsCenter? I mean, that's what it's become, right?
Usually they replace whatever is happening in the postgame. They just let Scott Van Pelt handle it because he does an exceptional job. But I was thinking about Billy on Saturday night because as the Panthers are playing a Stanley Cup final game, you get the rare Marlins regular season nationally televised game on Fox. They quickly lose 8-0 to the Guardians while the Panthers are playing in the Stanley Cup final. Billy, is that the game that you were checked in on? Were you watching the Marlins and the Guardians as the Panthers played in the first Stanley Cup final game?
No, I was watching the Ice Cats, as is done during the Stanley Cup finals. That's what you do. I'll check back in on the Marlins after the Cup final's done. I've been very consistent on this. I said when we get to the Stanley Cup final, I will be locked in. I will be there. Now, people play defense against me to prevent me from getting a credential. That's perfectly fine.
Right.
The Ice Cats are rallying around behind me, and they're going to win it on my behalf, and I appreciate them for that. I will say this. What?
Explain to me what happened with you and the credential. I wasn't here last week, so I don't know how the
There was some gatekeeping around these parts to keep old Billy away from the Stanley Cup final, which is fine. If that's the way people want to handle this situation, that's fine. I will not be covering the Stanley Cup in person, but I still will be doing so from the comforts of my own home because I'm not going to give up on this team just because people are trying to keep me away from it. Not going to happen.
What's the problem? Was it that Meadowlark asked for too many credentials and David Dwork was in front of you in line? What happened?
Oh, he
Got fired at Dworky over here. Jeez, unnecessary.
Well, I just said his name.
He got his credential through the Hockey News, not through us.
How many credentials did Meadowlark request? Did Billy? So Billy got knocked out. You can't get into the arena.
Correct. I'm not as a member of the credentialed media, which is fine.
I saw
fine.
Stunt Dan was there.
Listen.
I mean, if you want to work the camera.
I've been told things we don't need to get to. I've been told things, but I believe defense has been played against me to get me to the Stanley Cup final.
I actively played defense against Billy to get into the Stanley Cup final. After
not naming names.
After all the official parameters were explored in terms of applying for a credential, people knowing that I have a good relationship over with the Florida Panthers were like, hey, do you mind asking a favor so Billy can go over there and shit over the entire experience? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'd rather maintain my good relationship than have Billy make fun of them directly to their faces.
Cool if Billy sarcastically covers this Panthers series?
Yeah, no thanks.
I happen to think that I'd be growing the Panthers fan base. I would say the people that follow me aren't necessarily the biggest hockey fans.
You tell them.
And I would be introducing them to a great team and a great story. But if they're not interested in growing their fan base, then that's perfectly fine. That's their prerogative.
Okay.
Not on me. I'm just trying to do my part. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, your part. Okay.
Help out the team. Yeah. I'm not gonna tell the Oilers you got to go high on Bob. I'm not gonna tell them that. They can figure that out on their own.
Sure. All right, this is what happened. Okay?
Prolific offense.
All right, so the credential window opened early May.
Love a good window.
Yeah.
Hogwash. That was never relayed to anyone around these parts, I'll just say.
I applied for myself, Rose, and Danny. Rose and Danny being the camera people, Danny being the backup.
Behind the scenes of the hockey show.
So that's what happened.
Important.
The window closed May 30th. Mm-hmm. Billy asked June 3rd.
Let's open that window back up. Let's just.
But Billy has stated all along he will not focus on hockey until they make it to the Stanley Cup.
If anything, I announced that months ago.
Yes.
So I think someone should have put a pin in that, but that's fine.
I'm really thinking about you when
I think about you when I think hockey. I think about you, so I don't know why it's not mutual.
Right.
I was playing a game earlier, guys, and I'm wondering if you guys want to play this. Roy did not want to play this game. Here is the game. It's how long of a ban would Roy accept from covering the Panthers in exchange for illegally drinking out of the Stanley Cup on the night that they win it?
Wow.
Like,
So they win the cup, and Roy goes over, and he just takes a chug out of the Stanley Cup to celebrate. Because Roy, I'll admit this, Roy has been following this team longer than I have, and he cares slightly more than I do about this team. I will admit that. I'm not here to kind of spread falsehoods.
Yeah, that's great.
So I said, Roy, if they win, you got to take a chug out of that cup that night. He's like, no. And I'm like, what if they invite you to? He's like, well, then I'll do it. I'm like, no, but what if they don't invite you to? You got to do it. Their first Stanley Cup, you got to do it. I was like, would you, like, in exchange for a lifetime ban? And he's like, absolutely.
What about regular season? Next year's regular season, you can't cover a single game.
Regular season games?
He wouldn't even do that.
Roy.
So
I
that
said
means-
a 2-year ban. He said no. I said 1 year. He said no. He won't do it.
So that means I can't be at the arena during the home opener when they raise that banner.
Yeah,
you
can't be there to raise a banner, but you're there chugging out of the cup the night that they win. Like
Right.
that's a lot cooler than the banner's going to be up in the rafters forever.
No.
You can see the banners whenever.
Roy, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity
Exactly.
to chug beer out of the Stanley Cup. Who cares about a banner?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I care about a ban. I'm not going to get banned from covering this team.
Just-
all week.
He wants
for a
that
season.
picture up there.
Just
Billy's
for regular
already
season.
banned.
Exactly right. I was banned.
I didn't ban you.
I
The
got to
league
tell
did.
you, I was banned, and it's not that big a deal. Because if they came back now and they're like, you want to come? I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Okay.
I got what I wanted out of this exchange.
We were
Sure.
very lucky today that a motivated Billy showed up and he said that he had a single takeaway from Game 2 of the
NBA final.
And of
I'm
the
covering
NBA
all the
finals.
championships from
Yes.
afar.
Yeah.
They also didn't credential me, but I didn't ask.
You have Meadowlark had a whole bunch of people credentialed at that uninteresting game, but Billy, you have a single takeaway for us off of Game 2.
Yeah, defense wins championships.
Thank you, Billy. I appreciate
Derek
you
White
giving
block.
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
he goes up there.
I mean,
blocks PJ Washington. Maybe a foul. Maybe a foul on Jaylen Brown. That's for others to
Might
say.
be 2 fouls on that
That's
one.
for others to say, not me. But that block, I mean, you see, it's a 5-point game at that point. That dunk makes it a 2-point game. If they call a foul, it's a 3-point. Sorry, that dunk makes it a 3-point game. If they call a foul, it's a 2-point game. Instead, it's a block. Defense wins championships. Goes the other way, 7 points. That's a big swing, Dan. That's a 5-point swing by my math.
That sequence there was
Watching
pretty.
sports.
That sequence right there was pretty indicative of how you watch this through the prism of a hater, because I am absolutely a Celtics hater. And I think the most disappointing part about this is I still don't trust that team if they're going up against a team that has guts or maybe a healthy superstar. Right?
Oh, I don't want to hear it, Mike.
And it's just like
no.
you could see the Celtics team like they're dying for someone to take this from them, and Josh Green isn't going to do it.
I don't want to hear about Luka and how hurt Luka is. He had 32 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists. He was efficient last night. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of him because I'm going to spend the next 3 days. And why am I waiting 3 days for Game 3? Like what? Give me a Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Give me something.
It's like they have to travel by carriage or something. They're in a plane. They're there the next day. What are we waiting for?
I don't want to spend the next 3 days hearing about his knee, hearing about his shoulder, hearing about his elbow. He's out there. He's playing 40-plus minutes. His teammates are giving him nothing. I am so tired of hearing about how injured Luka is.
All
And
right.
by the way, play some defense. Close out on somebody. Close out on anybody.
Okay, let me tackle a couple of things here. First of all, the Dallas Mavericks are the first team since the 2010 Lakers to beat 3 50-win teams to get to this. I'd prefer to see Denver playing against the Celtics. The Celtics' gift is that they have the best starting lineup in the league, but I think Denver is right there with them on starting lineup. And so you haven't even seen the Derek White game yet. It is very possible, weirdly, that the Celtics could win the championship by blowout without Tatum doing much of anything that makes you remember what he did in the finals. He will have plenty of time to be an all-time great. It is possible that this series will not help him there. The Celtics, Stugotz, I don't know if you know this, but this was fairly stunning to me. The Celtics, outside of the Heat from 2010 or 2013, both of those Heat teams in the East were favored. The Celtics are favored. You will find no other favorite in the East since Michael Jordan. Since Michael Jordan, the West is always favored. And this Celtics team has been, this entire season, crushing everybody and should be remembered as an all-time great team if they win this championship over the Mavs.
What was the stat that you said that they beat 350-win teams to get here?
That since 2010 Lakers, they're the first team to win 350-win teams. They beat 350-win teams.
Indiana wasn't a 50-win team.
No, the Mavs.
Oh, the Mavs.
Mavs.
Oh, the Mavs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That had never happened before, but that hadn't happened in the last 15 years.
How did they do that? I'm asking as someone that's just like watched the majority of this stuff on mute because I'm watching this Dallas team, right? And I'm this is a sincere question. How did they do that?
Since the trade deadline, they were the best defensive team in the league, and they were playing championship good basketball since trading for Washington at the trade deadline.
Right, because they're playing Derrick Jones Jr. 40 minutes a game.
To Billy's point, defense wins championships. I mean,
but wouldn't they be better in this series? Like I'm watching this series, and I see Luka, who can't even depend on Kyrie to dribble anymore. Like if there's one thing Kyrie would give you, it's dribbling or maybe free throws, and he's not even doing that. Kyrie's been a disaster.
But there's your answer, Mike.
But I'm watching
You're asking how they did it. Kyrie played a lot better than he's playing right now. P.J. Washington played a lot better than he's playing right now.
This Dallas Mavericks team right now gives off 2007 Cavs vibes. Like, that is not a good-looking basketball.
Okay, this is 2 games, and this happens a lot in series in the first 2 games. Kyrie Irving, since stepping on the Leprechaun, is 0-12 against the Celtics. He's lost all of the games, and he was terrible in this series. And the answer to your question is you get Luka's 30 and you get Kyrie's 30, and that's how they win games. Kyrie has been absent this series.
Are you saying the Celtics merely held serve?
That's all they did.
Yeah.
And Kyrie hasn't made a 3 in the series, and nobody but Luka did anything in yesterday's game. But let's examine something for a second, because I'm legitimately torn on what it is that I'm telling you, Stugotz. I sound like a hater saying this is unsatisfying, but the customer needs something in terms of entertainment. You need to give me a storyline. You need to give me a close game. You need to give me somebody overcoming something. It can't just be a hodgepodge of this team is well built, so I feel like I'm watching the Pistons of Ben Wallace.
We need something. The viewers need something, but the Celtics don't need anything.
Agreed.
I mean,
But to have a championship feel only satisfying to Boston because you can't grab on to anything else that you're watching.
Right.
Missoula's not improving his reputation in this series. It's not anyone. No one is saying, wow, they're well coached, even though they play very well together. They've just perfected the way basketball is played right now. Basketball is played all along the three-point line. They defend it better than anybody, and they shoot it better than anybody. But that wasn't evidence of that yesterday. Yesterday, the Boston Celtics played one of their worst games of the season. When they played that game in the playoffs, they're like I think this season, when they played that game, they're 1-4 or something.
But Dan, when you say they've perfected how to play basketball right now, doesn't the coach get some credit for that? Some?
Do you think Missoula has improved his reputation with anybody who listens to these press conferences and thinks he's Looney Tunes?
I mean, he's about to have a ring on his finger
I'm asking you
as a head coach.
I'm asking you the question.
So did Mike Budenholzer.
Nick Nurse has one of those.
And I rate Nick Nurse, but you said that they perfected it, and all my, again, prism of a hater is like, I'd like to actually have proof that they're perfecting it against really, really good teams throughout this run. They're not being tested, and it's one thing if these teams that they're playing have a healthy superstar, if Halliburton's healthy, if Jimmy Butler is healthy, if Donovan Mitchell is healthy, I still think that they go through pretty easily, but I'm not getting these individual moments. It doesn't seem hard for the Boston Celtics, and that's a team that the mental stuff was a big block, I thought, for this Boston Celtics team. And to have the fortuitous route to not really have someone test the mental aspects of the game is kind of a bummer.
I will say again, Stugotz, I told you a couple of weeks ago that the highest seed that the Celtics will have beaten will be the Cavs,
right,
in order to win the championship. Mike Ryan, because he hasn't been watching the West or playoff basketball this season, just did something to Dallas that is wholly unfair. The West was great this year, and Dallas was great, and Kyrie Irving and Luka were great in knocking off the people that they knocked off, because what they did, basically, and you ask how they did it, they savaged young teams.
Yeah, no, I was on them to beat Minnesota. I said Minnesota can't guard those two offensive players.
They did the same thing to OKC, though.
Yeah, but OKC, we knew that they were younger, right? And that they have to suffer. I really wanted to see Denver in this spot. And I think, even though, as you mentioned, the path of 50-win teams, Luka has been unbelievable there. I think if you would ask any Celtics fan, if I give you the Nuggets, Timberwolves, or Mavericks, what's a team out of that group that you want to see in the NBA Finals, they would pick the Dallas Mavericks, and I don't think it'd be particularly close.
That is correct. I will just tell you that since the trading deadline, Dallas was
They've been
as
great.
good
Yes.
as Minnesota and as good as Denver.
I understand what you're saying, LeBron. Like, you get to the finals and you got to be tested. LeBron was tested. He lost to Dallas the first year. They came back with the Heat. They won it 2 years in a row. Michael was even tested with Clyde Drexler, with Karl Malone, with Barkley. This team is really good. It's not Jason Tatum's fault that they're not getting tested. The team is just really good, and they played lousy opponents leading into the NBA Finals.
So let me ask you this part though, right? Because you will not give Kevin Durant any titles in your personal record book because it was too easy for him. Weirdly, the Miami Heat of LeBron James, when they came out on stage and did the parade before they started all of that, people hated that team right off the top because they're like, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's too easy. And then what happened? LeBron struggled and we're like, oh, legacy forever. I saw how hard it was. I saw him tested. I saw him overcome. I saw him taken to the brink. I asked this question sincerely because I have not decided how I can talk about this without sounding like a hater. But if it's so easy throughout history, usually what I say, when the Warriors make it look easy, I'm like, holy, that's one of the best teams I've ever seen. I will not say this about the Celtics, and I'm not sure I'm being fair because half of their games this season, Stugotz, they led by 20 points, half of their games. And I don't believe I'm alone in this. As watching this as a customer, I want to be entertained. It's not simply, do you win? It's, do you win, and are you going to give me something to remember, some sort of greatness? Michael Jordan's going to go off for 50. It's not going to be Drew Holiday.
There's just a little something off with this Celtics team. Is that what you're saying?
No,
and they're
I'm
2
not.
games from winning the title.
No,
Sounds like that's what you're saying.
I'm not.
What is happening?
Wait a minute. What's off with them? They've only lost twice this season. I'm not saying they're off. I'm not saying it's off. They are crushing everybody. I'm finding it unsatisfying, and I'm diminishing them in real time because I want to see close games. I want to see them really struggle. I want to see a decision made at the end of the game where Brown or Tatum have to decide, oh, what about what Jason Kidd said, that Jaylen Brown is the best player on this team? Like, I want to watch.
You might still get it.
I may still get it, but I haven't gotten
Series hasn't started yet.
The playoffs
Well
haven't
served.
started for
Yeah, it is a bummer. We are applying real-time context that I think will be forgotten in like a year, especially if they raise that banner. Like no one's going to be like, well, the only time history's ever looked back on a champion and been like injuries was probably the Raptors.
Nope. I will say, Mike.
And the bubble.
I will say, Mike, we won't remember any of it for teams. We absolutely will for players. For teams,
That's fair.
No, you don't have to apologize for winning the championship. But you did this to Steph Curry a couple of seasons ago
Yeah,
where
he
you're
did
like,
it.
I need to see it in the finals. And
And then we saw it.
Yeah. But
We'll
I mean,
move
the
on.
Tatum thing isn't even fun. Like, it's not even a debate.
But
right
if he has
now.
a game or a moment and they win the championship, you're just going to look back and be like, yeah, he had a great series. No one's going to go game by game.
Yeah,
He
you're
just
probably
needs
right.
a moment.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Mike gave me an idea for ESPN's postgame. It should be First Take. Give me Stephen A. and Mad Dog right after the game. Are you kidding me? I'll be glued all night.
Juju, please put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. If you were Caitlin Clark, would you play for Ireland? Because I really do want to give this some consideration. If we really want to turn this into the marketing seismic mushroom cloud that it is, it would be funny with her. If everyone's going to hate her anyway because she's more popular than any of the people who came before her,
Right.
if they're going to hate her anyway, why don't you just send her off somewhere else to fight against America for snubbing her?
So her mother is of Italian descent, so she may actually have an ability to play for Italy.
I don't know what the rules on any of this. I don't know how Joel Embiid can play for Team USA. It seems like he shouldn't be playing for Team USA. I don't know how any
I
of that
qualify.
happens.
I found out on
Country of
Instagram that I
immigrants.
qualify for an Italian citizenship.
Wow.
Because if you had a great grandparent born there, Italy's just handing out citizenship.
You should play
Really?
for Team Italy.
I'm gonna go there just so I can captai Juliet to Italy. Just broaden the horizons, give her more options.
Stugotz is mad at the New York Yankees. Do you guys know why? Because this is Stugotz only cares about baseball enough to get indignant about some of the strangest things. And the Yankees played the Dodgers this week, and they averted the sweep on the last day. And Stugotz was pissed at the Yankees because...
Dan, they were selling jerseys. They were selling bobbleheads. It's Yankees-Dodgers. It's a big rivalry. The Yankees don't need anyone's help. And this is weeks after Steinbrenner said that he is going to cut payroll, that he has to cut payroll, which is not the Yankee way. You add payroll, you don't cut payroll. This is also not the Yankee way, and he should be ashamed of himself, and his father is rolling over in his grave right now. You do not sell Shohei Ohtani Dodger jerseys in your team fan store. I don't care how much money it brings you. I don't care how much money you need. That Yankee brand used to mean something. George Steinbrenner he would fire every single person in that organization if they dared even suggest that they sell anyone's Dodger jersey at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees just did it over the weekend. That is a terrible job by Hal Steinbrenner. I think it's Hal.
It is.
WFAT.
Throw it out there, boys. Take phone calls, 20 shares. Boom.
You just said the Dodgers and Yankees were a rivalry?
They are. I would say Yankees-Red Sox 1, then Yankees-Dodgers 2.
No.
I would say the Dodgers are the Yankees' second biggest rival. Yes.
They're two different leagues.
I don't care. They played in the World Series all the time.
That doesn't make any difference.
It does to me.
All the time?
Listen, it's my rivalry.
They used to play a million years ago.
When they were in Brooklyn.
No, after that.
No.
After that, when it was Steve Garvey.
Oh, in the 80s? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't simply that they were selling Dodgers merchandise and Ohtani jerseys. They made like hybrid hats. And one half of the hat was for Aaron Judge, and the other half of the hat was for Shohei Ohtani, which is just kind of like a strange item to make, but they were selling those.
I dig that.
Wow.
I dig that hat. I'd be going to that series to see Dodgers, Yankees, to see Ohtani and Judge. So maybe that hat's just made for me.
Aaron Judge is enough. You don't need Ohtani. You're the Yankees. You have a brand. It's the biggest brand in sports. What are you doing?
You don't think they're just casual baseball fans that want to go because of the star power there or want something to
I don't care if they
remember
bought it
by?
or not. They went for Ohtani or not. If you're the Steinbrenner family, you cannot sell Dodger gear at the Yankee fan store at Yankee Stadium.
20 share.
They've played 22 times in the regular season ever.
World Series.
World Series, yeah.
World
he did
Series,
say
yeah,
that.
70s, early 80s.
Let's see how many World Series.
Bill Russell, Steve Garvey, Ron Say, the Penguin.
I'd say they're bigger rivals
the
with the
Penguins.
Astros
Davey
at
Lopes,
this
I
point.
mean, Rick Monday. It was a great team.
WFAT.
Yeah, the Yanks countered with Ron Guidry. They had Roy White. They had Willie Randolph, Mickey Rivers. Great team. Yankees were better, slightly better than the Dodgers.
Vanilla?
I don't want.
Sweet Lou.
I don't want that. Stugotz has been dying to do this show about 80s World Series for the last 20 years. That show was old 20 years ago, talking about games that were 20 years before that. But I do want to stop for just 1 second because I know baseball isn't what it used to be. But I do still love it. And Aaron Judge, over the last 32 games, has been better offensively than any player over 32 games, like going back to that Barry Bonds territory. So there's Aaron Judge over here. The Yankees and pinstripes have this tight end a good deal bigger than Travis Kelce, who's a beast. On the other side, same size, different country, also pitches when he's not hurt. Ohtani's numbers through the first part of his career are better than Babe Ruth's numbers through the first part of his career. Those two giant human beings, bigger than just about anyone physically who's ever played baseball, are dominating the sport, and nobody outside the sport cares. Like, they're two unprecedented athletes playing at the same time.
In the right market.
It used to be big. Yes, that's right. Isn't this what we've always wanted? Giant markets, giant stars. With Ohtani, it used to be Anaheim. Not anymore. Get me the stat of the day real quick so I can tell you how good offensively these people have been, because they've been as good as Barry Bonds, and I'm about to give you a crazy Barry Bonds stat.
Start of the day, it is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
If you were to strip Barry Bonds of all of his stats from his 7 MVP seasons, he would still have 440 homers and 359 stolen bases, which no other player has.
But no MVPs.
But if you put him on the Yankees or Dodgers right now, would he make any sort of impact?
I don't know. He's on both teams.
Simultaneously.
The Dodgers have a giant Asian dude who pitches and is Babe Ruth. Surely that'll save baseball. Right?
Yankees have played the LA Dodgers in the World Series 4 times and the Brooklyn Dodgers 7 times.
Yep.
So 11 times combined.
Thank you.
What if I gave you the added bonus of Babe Ruth is now in a gambling controversy as well?
Do I need to put Aaron Judge in a bigger market? Stugotz called the Yankees the biggest brand in sports. They're not, right? It's American sports, maybe?
Yeah, like Real Madrid's a bigger brand.
It's not.
Yes.
It's not throughout the world,
Yeah,
but
I don't even know at this point.
I'm not even certain if they
Cowboys.
still are.
The Cowboys are
might
probably
be, yeah,
bigger.
Yeah.
put it on the
Panthers.
poll, please. Bigger American brand at Le Batard Show, Cowboys or Yankees? Hard to believe that it's the Cowboys, given you've gone 30 years without any meaningful winning.
Their
for the
valuation
Cowboys.
just keeps going
Yeah,
up. and
Cowboys
up.
are valued at $9 billion. Yankees at 7.1. Then Golden State Warriors at
Where are the
7.
Panthers at?
We
Not
can't
a-
even get the right graphic put up on local news channels. They put up the Carolina
I saw
Panthers
that.
graphic in LA.
I saw that.
Ridiculous,
That
insulting.
is so good. Tony is out and about trying to get us some Panther fans out in the streets of Miami, but it is raining.
I actually have rankings from Forbes. It's Cowboys 1, Yankees 2, Warriors are 3, Patriots 4.
So just what we
Steve
said.
Martin is number 5.
Yeah, it's what we said.
sorry.
It's exactly the list.
Someone said the Warriors?
that was just
I didn't
given.
hear that. I don't know. Roll back the tape. I'm not certain. I don't think anyone said the
Yes,
Warriors.
the Warriors
And by the
were
way, that's
said, yes.
ridiculous. The Warriors. I mean, no one
a
thinks
new
of the
building.
Warriors when they think of big brands. Nobody.
Big market.
It is raining,
okay.
but we will check in with
Next.
Tony and see what's going on
All right,
next
so
segment.
Tony is searching
He
for
made of
Panther
sugar. You can't go
fans.
outside in the rain.
Since Stugotz is saying that people should be ashamed of themselves, I don't even know why it is that you think that the details involved with the Army-Navy game
God.
are now involving shame dispension for others.
College football does not care about our military. They don't care about our troops. This game, rightfully so, forever has been an isolated game, Army-Navy, and the troops deserve that. These two schools, those two programs, they deserve to have a weekend that's all about them. College game day goes out there. They celebrate the Army. They celebrate the Navy. It is a fantastic weekend. And now, Dan.
I hate it. It makes me sad.
Why?
Because
Really?
the football's bad, and I miss
Oh, how
football.
dare you.
I
Okay.
immediately miss football, but that's
Jeez.
me. I know that's un-American.
All right, so now the NCAA, college football, they hate the troops, and so does Dan Le Batard, okay?
I don't hate
On
the
record.
troops.
On record.
Would
Don't-
love to know how the NCAA hates the
don't
troops.
hate
Well,
the
Getting
troops.
there.
So they took this isolated game, this beautiful game, Army, Navy. They've been playing it since the beginning of time, okay? Isolated weekend.
Back to
They
the
have-
1600s. At
You know what
least.
they did? It's no longer isolated.
What?
Now you get the Camilla Bowl and you get the Celebration Bowl.
The start of bowl season.
And that is a disgrace, and I'll tell you why.
Disgraceful.
Go ahead. Name any team who was played in the last 10 of either of those bowls. Name any team. Because I guarantee, and you can't, okay? The answer is you can't.
Is it Camilla Bowl
But
on the what?
here's what I guarantee you, okay? I guarantee every year you could tell me who's playing in the Army-Navy game.
Is
It's
this-
Army and Navy. Yeah.
Is this because bowl season had to be moved up because of the playoff?
Yeah.
Well, they gave you a 12-team playoff.
No, but these
Nah,
are
not
stupid
worth
bowl
it.
games that aren't
Yeah.
worth it.
You really think Tulane Central Michigan's going to take away from Army Navy?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it does
Depends
or it
on
doesn't.
what the line is.
They deserve their own weekend. It's
Exactly
our
right.
military.
You said the Celebration Bowl.
Yeah.
I assume Jackson State.
You assume. You
I
don't
assume
know.
it has to be a HBCU. So
You
I
know
assume.
it's Army-Navy. That's what you know.
That's the thing.
You don't assume anything.
Wait, you don't think it's going to be ice? I'm pretty sure it'll be. You just mentioned 3 games that weekend.
I want that game.
We can make TV windows for them all.
No, they are TV windows. No, I'm saying that game deserves to be played.
The
No
entire
other games,
week.
but yes.
The entire week they get it. They build
Yes.
up all the attention. It's the least we can do
Guys,
for them.
I
Thank
love
you
that
for your
game just
service.
as much as everybody else.
I don't
but
think so.
We'd be fine with 2.
Doesn't seem like it.
We'd be fine with like maybe 2 more games.
Wait,
that week.
guys,
No.
Mike's
No.
right.
No.
There's a game that's going to kick off at noon, the Celebration
Yeah.
Bowl. Army
Right.
Navy will be at 3 p.m.
Yeah. That's
and then
great.
there's a 9
Exactly.
p.m. game.
So
Actually-
that's disgusting.
Yeah.
No, it's
Well,
Yeah,
not.
it should
No.
be the only game played that day.
Disgusting?
Yeah,
Right
that's
there in
right.
the middle of
And
that
whoever
sandwich.
did the
It's
scheduling,
disgusting?
that's right. And whoever did the scheduling for that, or whoever's in charge of the NCAA, if that's even still a thing, should be charged for treason.
What?
Easily.
Yes.
It's a spit in the face and a slap in the face of America and of these young cadets who are doing their darndest to protect our country and play the best football they can.
Thank you.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
Army Navy, they started playing in 1890.
That's what I
Beginning of
said,
time.
60
Yes.
So
the armed
Beginning of
services,
time.
sarcasm is not a spot for it.
I've got a number of poll questions
Serious.
here at Le Batard Show. Should the NCAA be charged for treason for what it is they've done to Army Navy? Does the Army Navy game make you happy or sad? Because you guys are making me anti-troop, but I'm telling you, I'm pro-football. You cannot. I know we're doing
You're
this.
sad because it's the last game they're going to play,
Big
right?
fan
That's
of the
why you're
Camilla
sad.
Bowl.
Look, you're going to be against more football, Stugotz. Look at this guy with the eating grin. He is so happy to be a Celtics fan right now. Look at him. He's drinking from his jar, his arrogant jar of pickles there, whatever it is that he's drinking. Christopher Mintz-Plasse. The last time we talked to you, McLovin, thank you for being on with us. We're making fun of you because the Heat were great and the Celtics were less great. And now here you are. Eating grin, speaking on your behalf. So go ahead. You're feeling smug today?
I mean, we feel great, man. We feel incredible. We're the most hated team for no reason, and we're ripping it up right now, and it feels fantastic. And happy 1-year anniversary to all you guys. Just want to say.
Thank you. That's very kind
nice.
of you.
Also, not for no reason.
It is. Yeah. So why do you feel like you're hated unfairly?
You could tell me. Someone said not for no reason. Fill me in. Tell me why.
Because you stroll into rooms thinking that you guys are hot despite only winning 1 championship in high definition. In fact, since I've been alive, you've only won 1 title. Yet I got to hear about some 18th banner because you won about 13 of them when the game wasn't even integrated.
I love it. I love it. I can feel the hatred through the Zoom link. I love it.
Congratulations on being on the precipice of catching the Houston Rockets in terms of title prestige in my lifetime. Happy for you.
Mike, nothing's
Yeah,
going to
you know,
bother him today. I mean,
It just feels like, I want to know who you guys all picked to win the finals, by the way, because I feel like a lot of people picked the Mavs over the Celtics, which is pretty crazy because we won 64 games and we just kind of swept our way through the playoffs. And everyone's like, you got a Mickey Mouse run. You got a Mickey Mouse run. You're finally going to face a team that's going to challenge you. Excuse my language, guys. I'm pretty
that's
heated.
okay. No, but let it fly. That's fine.
And now Luka's hurt.
Now we faced a team with 2 incredible closers, and we're doing our job, man. We're doing our job, and we're doing
Luka's
doing it.
upper body is wrapped like Randy Johnson after throwing a complete game. What are you
Stuart
It's
talking
another
Randall
excuse.
Johnson.
It's another excuse. When we saw the questionable tag yesterday, we're like, here we go. Here it comes.
You got to admit, though, like you guys have had lots of lottery tickets over the years. You kept trotting out this core, and you finally got a really nice flat track. You got a lot of luck for this run. Every team's best player being hurt. Luka's out there, which is a change of pace, I guess, from the rest of the run, but it's not even like he's not hurt.
Yeah, I mean, he's dropping 30 points and 11 assists and 11 rebounds. Like, the man's healthy. The man's healthy. He's playing incredible.
Yep.
Kyrie, feels like he's got to step it up a little bit. I think role players play better at home, so the next 2 games for him are going to be really good. But they're fully healthy. We're doing our job, man.
Look at him. He's just smug. Look
Floating.
at him. It's just it's no fun when Boston gets to be smug.
I hit him with the best thing that I got. Like
Right.
the score wasn't even integrated.
It
I
ain't
feel
gonna
like
work today. It's
Yeah,
not
he
gonna
wasn't
work
even
today.
expecting
No.
it. But it's just
1080p,
like,
Not
there's
just
no
sweating. Yeah.
there's no
I
touching
do
this guy.
remember last year when I came on, we had just lost Game 7 to the Heat, and that was pretty brutal. So it feels good to be back here in a winning environment.
What do you think of the fact? Because Stugotz and I, and Stugotz, I feel like you misrepresented me earlier in the show, as you are wont to do. I'm just saying that from a customer perspective, it's unsatisfying to not watch this play out with close games where I can watch Jason Tatum be tested. And what I'd prefer, just because I want greatness to be great at the top of the, I like watching sports and like watching the best be the best.
And what I said was, I agree with you. I'd like to see that as well. But Boston fans, they don't care. They just want to get to 4 and hold up the trophy.
Correct.
I mean,
And so I understand why Boston would enjoy this and why everyone else would find it a little unsatisfying.
I get that. I mean, obviously, I think there's even parts when I'm watching Game 1 or something where I'm checking my phone and I'm like, why are you doing this? You've waited all year for your team to win the championship. And it's not the most thrilling. I get it. I would like when I'm watching any other series that my team is not in, you want it to be a 1-point game with 30 seconds left, obviously. So I get that. But yeah, I mean, like, what am I supposed to say? Oh, I wish Tatum was shooting 6 for 21 and we were losing by 10 and we had to make a comeback. Like, no, this is perfect for us. But listen, man, I get it. And it's going to be a bummer when we sweep.
Well, I said this actually, Stugotz, during the regular season because Boston was overwhelming teams, winning half their games, always up by 20 points.
yeah, they had 50 games in which they had a 17-point lead this year. I mean,
That is correct. Half their games, they led by more than 20. It's a crazy stat. And in other circumstances, I feel like what I was saying would have been obvious to everybody, which is that this Celtics team is better than the one that won the championship. That it's been the margins it's winning by in the modern age, because the three-point shot is worth more. This team has actually been better than that one. But it's hard to argue when that team had Ray Allen and Garnett and Paul Pierce. You're thinking of Hall of Famers, and this one you're asking, hey, Tatum, can you be the second best player on this team statistically or not? It's confusing.
Yeah. God, it's really hard to be up 2-0 in a series and want to like dissect Tatum not shooting perfectly. You know, like it's like he's not doing well, but everybody else is picking up the flack. And we have he's dropping 12 assists, and we shot 6 of 40 from 3, whatever, 6 of 32. If we make 4 more, the guy's going to have 18 assists. You know what I mean? Like, he dished and found a lot of open threes that were missed. So the fact that he's not shooting well, he's facilitating in every other avenue. So it kind of feels like, why are we picking this apart? Why am I picking this apart when we're winning? Right. It's just not the right
because
thing.
We
don't have to, right?
No, but this is why.
Have you wondered aloud, why is Derek Jones Jr. playing 40 minutes?
Well, I mean, this is what it comes down to, is our 3 to 6 is just leagues better than their 3 to 6, and it's showing it. Like, we had Drew Holiday dropping 26, Game 1.
But you're 1 and 2.
Pingus, going for 20 and 20 minutes. Game 3, it could be Derek White for 35. Game 4 could be Al Horford for 8 threes. Like, we are blessed that at any given night, one guy can go for 30. It's truly incredible.
I will tell you this, though. I do believe that the reason that we're talking about things like that with Tatum is because the stories on the court aren't interesting enough. It's hard to talk about a team winning uninteresting games in uninteresting ways. Like that last night, the Celtics shot horribly from 3.
It's not, Dan, it's not their fault it's uninteresting. The Celtics are the most interesting thing on the court. Kyrie Irving is going 6 of 19. He's dropping 14 points. Like, if he's going for 30 with Luka scoring 30, last night's a nail biter. You know what I mean? Like, we're doing our job. We're locking them down. We're blocking shots, stealing it. We're making the game interesting. You're asking the wrong questions here, David.
No, and you're blaming the wrong team. You're so right about this.
You're blaming
We're
the
lashing
wrong
out.
team.
We're lashing out. 100%.
I know. And I'm not taking the bait, dude. I'm not doing this. You're not Jason kidding me here, dude. You're not playing mental games.
I don't like how
Doing our job.
strong you've gotten. The last time you were here, you were weak and you were broken.
That's what a 2-0 series lead will do.
And we tried to poke and prod you, and you were stoic, and you pretended like it didn't hurt, but we were pouring salt on a festering wound.
Yeah.
Now you come in here, and I cannot bother you. You are poised. You laugh in my face.
But am I wrong? Like, we're crushing it. We're entertaining as heck to watch. Kristaps going for 20 points in 20 minutes. Was that not thrilling?
No.
It was.
I will ask, do you believe that the country at large would acknowledge that this team is better than the one that won the championship?
We got to win the ship first. You can't even actually have that debate. I know I'm on a debate show. Worst guy to have on a debate show, but I can't debate that until we win the championship.
Wish
And
Classic debate show.
This is not a debate show.
it's a podcast. We're all pals.
I'm simply trying to badger you until you
it's not working.
enraged.
He's so
It's
big
not-
timing us
it's
right now.
not
Look at that
working.
championship glow.
I hate it.
We have to win. We have to win first before we can have that conversation. You know
No,
what I mean?
why? Why can't we have it right now?
Because what if the Mavs go and win the next four, and then I get the email that's like, Dan wants you back on the show. Dan wants you back
we will.
on the show.
Oh, we will.
I'll tell you.
better hope
I'll
Kleber
tell you
doesn't
why.
steal one.
I'll tell you why. Because Jason Kidd just said that if Luka wins the championship, he'll be the best Mav ever. And I'm like, he's still the best Mav ever. The next 3 or 4 games don't change that. Right now,
It changes
this
everything.
Celtics season, yes, if Porzingis gets hurt and something happens, you can lose the championship. I'm telling you now, like I told you during the regular season, this team is better than that one.
Yeah. I mean, do all of you believe that Luka's the best Maverick right now?
No.
Tom Cruise.
No.
Yeah.
It's about rings. Like, how can you just
No.
throw Dirk's whole catalog and whole career out the window?
Because Luka's
Just 'cause
already
the guy is good to look at right now.
because
You can't do it.
Luka's
Dan,
already
don't do
better than him. The next 4 games don't change that. If Jason Tatum gets hurt and Luka wins the championship or doesn't win the championship, I already think he's better than Dirk. I don't
Luka
need 4
engaged
games.
in a good old debate there.
So let's say Luka never wins a championship
Don't
in
care.
his career.
Don't
Are you
care.
going to say, okay, so who's the most important Maverick of all time then?
Dirk is the most important, and he's the best Maverick
Again,
of all time,
Tom
and Dan
Cruise.
knows
There
that.
you go.
Right.
Tom Cruise is the best Maverick of all time. We've
And
already-
J.J. Barea is a close second.
Are you going to
He
stick
is-
around for when we talk Dak Prescott?
No, not a chance.
Okay.
Get me out of here.
All right. Anything else on your way out? We will have you on again to gloat if indeed you don't lose the next 4 games. But you say it's not time for that debate, and I would just tell you the way that they won and mastered in the modern game. The Boston Celtics this year have been more overwhelming than the Celtics were when they won the championship. Stugotz, the Celtics took more games to win that championship. They were losing so much during that postseason. The one time they won the title, this team hasn't lost. They've dwarfed everybody.
They've been dominant.
Yeah, I mean,
you can
we
question.
were going against Kobe, right?
thought
Was
it was
that?
basketball.
Yeah, we beat Kobe in 08. So like that was a very tough Lakers team. Who did we beat on the way to that championship?
It was all 7-game series, and forgive me for not remembering who it was, but they took longer to win the title than anybody because it was tense the whole way. This hasn't been tense at all. McLovin's not been scared one time about anything.
Well, that's what you're mad
I
about,
mean-
that he hasn't been scared, and he doesn't care. He's perfectly fine. He's out on the patio. He's in the woods.
I mean,
he's
the
having a drink.
Pacers series was super entertaining, was it not? Even though we won in 4 games, most of those games came down to the last second. That was entertaining, more entertaining than this Mavericks
Yeah,
series.
Dan,
maybe?
enjoy it. You only get 2 more games of dismissively calling him McLovin before you have to call him NBA champion McLovin.
There you go.
I'm not trying to dismiss him. He's here, and he's feeling like a champion already. And giving us the platitude of it's too early to talk about any of that stuff. Look at him as he sips
amazing.
vigorously.
That's what's
I know how
pissing you
this
off.
goes, man. I brag about it, and then we lose the next 4, and then there's just headlines everywhere.
Heady play.
All right?
Yeah.
I've had this before.
What kind of headline? Like CNN?
When did that happen to you?
Flats.
When did that happen
Undoes
to you?
championship chances.
I'll tell you.
McLovin celebrates too early.
I'll tell you when it happened to me was I was doing an interview, and someone goes, "Would you ever do a Superbad 2?" I was like, "No, we're not going to touch that." And then someone was like, "What about an all-female Superbad?" And I was like, "Sure, that sounds fun." Next day, Christopher Evans Plus, Superbad 2, female version, all over, and it was just like it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Well, that's
It was
what I'm
such a
trying to bait you
throwaway-
into, but
Yeah.
you're drinking your fancy Hollywood
We're trying
drink.
to Jason Kidd you. We're trying to get you to acknowledge that Jaylen Brown is the best player on the
Yes.
team.
Who's
to
the
try
best
to
player?
disrupt it.
Who's the best player? Who's the best player?
Who is the best player? Any given day, it's a different one.
Oh,
Any
he's
given
too
day.
good.
This is
Right
the
now,
veteran
it's Drew.
experience that we were warned against.
I have a question. Have we heard anything about Tingus Pingus's injury yet?
Nothing.
It could be a hyperextension.
Right.
Okay.
He looks fine.
The birds.
There's
I mean, this
peaceful
guy.
cartoon birds in the
it's
back.
really
like it's a Disney
serenity.
movie.
You're surrounded by serenity. Where are you? What bliss have you arrived at?
Lovely Woodland Hills, California, baby. Deep in the valley.
Let me listen. Let's listen to it for a second. They all shut up.
Like the CBS morning show.
Oh, it's
Let's
great.
just sit around and here's 30 seconds.
I have to stay calm because your guys' energy is so stressful.
Scaring the birds.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got to surround myself.
It's Sunday morning. Okay, I'm sorry. I believe that's still a great show, even though it's
Jane
only
Pauley?
for 80-year-olds. Yes, where everyone is
trumpets?
quiet for 30 seconds and we'll just listen to a stream. It's a Sunday morning show. We will listen to Christopher Mintz-Plasse drinking his Hollywood drink and sitting amid the birds.
Hey, what an honor to hear you say my full name. My real name.
Get his
What a
ass.
pleasure. What a pleasure. That's how you get me back on, is keep yelling McLovin at me. Then I'll come back anytime.
I'm sorry. It
You're
is-
good, man.
I
You're
don't.
good.
I don't mean it dismissively. Can we?
Nobody does. Nobody does. It's all good. It's a sign of love. You know what I mean?
Side of
Does anyone say
McLove, if you will.
CMP?
My parents, maybe.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Because I think a lot of people default to McLovin in that they don't want to get your name wrong because it's a bit of a mouthful.
No, totally. So I know I can give you a real answer is when it's people on the street, when it's fans, it's really nice and really endearing. When it's people that I've worked with or been in professional settings, it's a little. Well, last time I was on here, we were talking about that reality show that I was on, that Mars show, and
Stars
the
on
showrunner
Mars. Don't be
himself-
dismissive.
Yeah,
That was great.
the showrunner himself was like, "Where's McLovin? Where's McLovin?" in the headset, and I was like, "Oh, you're my boss. Like you're my contemporary here." It's a little off-putting in that situation. But when it's like out in regular life, people who don't know me, it's really sweet. I mean, they love the movie, so it's a sign of respect, I guess. You know.
Thank you for handling that with grace. I am sitting in front of you deeply ashamed, and it means you have won, Celtic. You have won in every way. You came here.
We tried to wreck your day, and you wrecked ours.
Yes, we tried to wreck your day, and you're a graceful winner. You're charming, and you're 2 games away from the championship.
Your first title since the invention of smart speakers.
Thank you for being on with us. We do appreciate the time. You are 34 years old next week, so let me see here if I can give you a happy birthday here the way that I would if I could see this correctly.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
That is Stephen A. Smith. I hope you enjoyed him walking into the arena the other day in a lavender suit.
I love it. He's my fashion icon.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
I was
See you
actually
next
guilty
time.
of thinking that you celebrated your birthday last week because it got aggregated a bunch that McLovin's fake ID turned 40 last week. So I imagine some people hit him up with happy birthday.
He's gone.
Yeah.
I,
He doesn't even care for us to finish a sentence.
I
Yeah, he's
feel
gone.
regret,
He
though.
feels so
I got to
good.
be honest.
That's not your style.
He was
Dan.
nice
I
there,
mean,
but I don't feel like he loves the McLovin stuff.
Well, clearly I aired. He was very nice about it, though.
he's also turning 35 next week. That's a fun.
What? I didn't say that?
34.
34.
Sheet says
flattering.
34.
Just $1.
Okay, thank you, Stugotz. You're always there for me.
God, I hate that they're winning. It sucks so bad.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.